Southern California, yeah.
Born and raised our DNA. Laugh and cry to what we say. We hit you with that wordplay.
4053.
What episode are we on? D, they feeling like they be zombies, all dressed in Abercrombie.
SoCal DNA coming in live. 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. COVID got you sitting inside. Why not sip one and free your mind?
Cheap thrills, popping pills, stack cash, spend it fast.
Listen to all of those lies as Arjun act like he's surprised.
That was my impression of a cat and a siren making some noise. I think
Man, I feel like I've heard enough noises for a year. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you what I've been through these past couple of days, man. Never before on a 4th of July weekend have I experienced the ongoing, incessant, persistent cacophony. Just this constant pitter-patter. It's like I'm indoors. I know there's fireworks going on. I can be patriotic just like the rest of them, sure. But this is madness. It keeps going on for hours and hours and hours, late into the night. And it's not just for one day, Don. No. It's not just all day Saturday. No, it's Friday. It's Thursday. It goes on for like a damn week. And I'm just trying to think, is this really the best way to celebrate 4th of July weekend? Just firing off these some illegal, some legal fireworks for hours on end, not letting people go to sleep.
Hell yeah.
Keeping the dogs. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. We go to war with the sky only legally once a year. One day of the year. Of course, there's some people that get a little jump start, start the week before, the weekend before, sometimes the month before, but never after. Never after. Like, it's clear skies today, right? You're not hearing
so
much.
far,
Right?
but I mean, it's almost sunset. It's almost sunset. So
We'll
see.
You gotta allow people to practice their ability to light shit on fire and blow things up in a relatively safer way than what's normally done.
Look, I'm all about channeling your inner pyro. I'm all about that life, believe me. But I just think, man, there's got to be limits. You know what I mean?
No, fuck that. No, let go of the limits, man. Just Roman candles all day long. All day long.
I was talking with another buddy of mine from Texas, and he was saying that this was his first time buying like a good amount of fireworks for his family to light off. And
good for him.
He was kind of a coward though, because he only spent about maybe $70-$80, and he basically got a couple of these starter kits. So basically, they give you like the sparklers and like the little ones that just show colors from the ground. Like they're not rockets that launch up into the air. And he was like, you know what? Next time, now that I see all my neighbors doing it, I'm gonna drop hundreds of dollars on those big old rockets and light up the sky. Because if Disneyland can do it, why not him? Why not him?
Sure. I think people spend tenfold that much sometimes. For what they kind of want for a family party, because dude, those sets are ridiculously expensive, man. I don't know if you've been to one lately, but if you get like the mega super American red, white, and blue combo, it can run you like a couple $100s each. And of course, you don't just go for that. You gotta at least double down, because you already know you're shelling out the cash. You might as well go big or go home.
I guess so. I never spend that much money on fireworks. I have bought some before, but it was always like the weaker versions, like the ones that just kind of light up on the ground and you see it change color. It's kind of lame. You look at that and then you look away at your neighbors and you see them like launching missiles into the air, like exploding in 15 different colors and changing into Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. Like, it's insane. It's insane.
Oh yeah, dude. No, I once had this is something that you'll learn about me. I once in high school, prior to college, right before college, actually, my cousins and I had some fireworks. I won't say whether they were illegal or not, but we had decided, our aunt was getting mad at us. We needed to go and light these suckers elsewhere. Mm-hmm. So we went ahead to a local park. This was probably 11 o'clock, late at night, more or less. So we knew it was a bad idea. To make things worse, when we were driving over there, some of us didn't drive, so we all hopped into one car, some holding the fireworks down in the trunk of the truck itself. Mm-hmm. So it was a bad idea first off, because we went in dark. No headlights, no anything, because we knew we were probably doing stuff we shouldn't have been doing. And start off, we jumped the curb we didn't know there was a curb there. We thought that was the entrance. So first off, we were already trespassing on the sidewalk there and just, tearing up that grass. But we eventually made our way to the parking lot, carrying a nice 1/2 foot, 6-inch diameter PVC pipe and some motors. Now, these motors typically don't go off sequentially, but we had set it up to go off sequentially. So we had 5 rounds going on, lined up in our little official, professional PVC mortar launcher.
Yeah.
And so it stood up maybe about 4 feet in the air. We go ahead and light the first one. Of course, my cousin was holding the pole. I was lighting. And kid you not, we knew there was a mistake when you light the first one and you hear nothing. And you're like, well, fuck, what do we do? Proceeds to shake it. And then all you hear is these loud balls just bouncing around in the PVC pipe and smoke hissing. So, those giant flowers that you see up in the sky where they blow up pretty loud?
Sure.
Yeah, ours never exited the PVC pipe.
Oh.
And they were, again, like I said, kind of noted to go sequentially. So after the first one proceeded to blow, about, maybe a foot away from all of us, we proceeded to run. And then we were followed by 4 additional bombs, basically. And we've never loaded faster into a car and gotten the fuck out of there. And we proceeded to go back to our aunt's house, a little defeated, a little scared.
Sure.
And we all went our own ways. We didn't talk about that after that. Just like, hey, how was it, Don? How was it? Yeah, it was good. It was good. Wish you guys were there. We
fired him off.
You didn't see him?
Oh, they were kind of low. Yeah.
Kind of low.
They didn't get as high as we thought they would.
Oh, man. I kid you not. That was probably the most fun experiences I've ever had. Because that's no joke. That's why when people always, joke around all illegal fireworks, they're not dangerous. They just bright lights and loud noises. Now, if you concentrate the equivalent of gunpowder in some of these, of course, it's different. But these illegals, no, it's fine.
I got you. Some of these things can be dangerous. Some of these things can be risky. And also, some people may look down upon it, similar to something that I observed while just reading through the news recently. And this was a subscriber request. So shout out to our subscriber recommending reading this article. Let me open it up for the fans listening in. So this is from the Bleacher Report.
Yeah, and you go ahead and catch them up really quick. Give me 30 seconds. Catch them up.
Go ahead. Oh wow, a little staticky. So, this happened on June 27, 2020. This article was written by Tim Daniels from Bleacher Report. Very reputable publication, unlike the other ones that we've been citing recently. I think we did the Oxford Student Journal as well as some other less than reputable sources. So I do apologize about my source finding before. But so this one titled Bubba Wallace, who is one of the only African-American NASCAR drivers, says he's wore the hell out after NASCAR Noose investigation. And essentially, this all came about because there was a rope pulley which resembled a noose. Mm-hmm. And it was only in Bubba Wallace's garage. There was no other rope pulley like that anywhere in that area. I think they were saying at 29 tracks with 1,684 garage stalls, only 11 had a garage door pull down rope tied in a knot, and below is the only one fashioned in a noose. So this was, needless to say, a pretty big deal, especially considering the Zeitgeist, right? You have George Floyd, and I tend to use that often. You should know the definition by now, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't looked it up already. But basically, this was very controversial, and people at first were very much concerned for Wallace. They thought this was a hate crime. They thought this was an attack against him, being pretty much one of the only African-American drivers in NASCAR. But then I guess later on there was some doubt that was raised. There was some concern whether or not this was real, whether or not this was actually meant to be a noose, or it was just a rope pulley that happened to resemble a noose but not really. And so For me, this kind of made me think about, excuse me, Jussie Smollett, this actor, probably from a year or two ago, that was exposed because he had paid his professional trainers, his personal trainers, to jump him, and it was all caught on video. I think, he even got beat up a little bit. He was roughed up around the face, and I think this was all kind of a big ploy to further his career, because he kind of thought maybe at the time that, the way things were looking for him, for Jussie Smollett, he wasn't really making it. He wasn't Will Smith yet. He wasn't even Anthony Mackie yet. He was just Jussie Smollett. And so maybe by getting jumped and by getting all this attention, even though it was ill-gotten attention, it would help propel his career into the next level. Unfortunately, it had a different effect, because he was exposed, and it got really messy. He still defended himself to the death. He still said that, I claim innocence. This was not a setup. I promise you this was real. And so, it was very easy to make the comparisons to Jussie Smollett when looking at this Bubba Wallace thing. Although, I don't know. I personally don't follow NASCAR at all. I know Don is a long-time fan. He has NASCAR posters on his wall. He has posters of cars on his wall, even to this day, as a 30-plus-year-old man. I have never seen a full NASCAR match or game or race, whatever you call them. I just know that they go real fast and turn left. That's all I really know. But Don, what do you think about this, man? Do you think this is real? Do you think this is something that NASCAR should take really seriously and it should become a big deal?
Well, I think first off, thank you for the intro and the strong words of explaining my 1 hour viewership of NASCAR. Was entertaining to say the least. Yeah, I think NASCAR does need it. Well, I don't know the reach that NASCAR has. I feel like their fan base is a specific set of fan base, or it's a specific type of fan base that probably applauds that action done to our buddy Bubba.
Wait. So what are you trying to say about our NASCAR audience?
Hey, dude, I'm just saying, some people, in prior news regarding NASCAR, they had banned the use of the Confederate flag. Oh, and there goes firework. Celebration of the word Confederate flag.
Yeah.
And people were fighting back about that, saying, hey, why basically banning the flag? What's going on? Da, 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 da. They didn't like it. Mm-hmm. So if I put one and one together, I assume that and the majority, rather, of the fans would applaud a noose being hung as a decoration on a black driver's garage. Wouldn't you say the same? Or are you too PG right now, too scared to make that claim?
I wouldn't say I'm too PG, but I'm definitely PG-13 right now. I'm going to try to keep it, for the teens, basically. I would say I can understand how you could say, because of the culture of a lot of the NASCAR fans, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible that they would be kind of. I don't want to say a proponent. I don't want to say a proponent of nooses, because I think this is a perfect segue into something else. But I just want to say the whole idea of the Confederate flag being proudly shown and displayed in cars and in homes, even just wherever. I think it means something different to different people. I think for most of us who are not part of that subculture, we view it more or less as a symbol of racism, because it did stand for the Confederacy, and one of the things they believed in was, keeping racism firmly in place, keeping slavery firmly in place. And obviously that does not jive with our personal beliefs and the belief of the current, society in America. But I think it also represents, for that particular subculture that Don was alluding to, a source of pride. It's like a source of historical...
It's history. Yeah, it's history.
Yeah, exactly. It's like historical pride for them. That's right.
Of course, and it's like one of those things. It's something that should always be remembered. And
Why? Why should it always be remembered?
Because it was a part. I mean, if you don't learn your history, you're bound to make the same mistakes. That was something that
Okay,
we both learned in high school, right? That was the importance of history.
We do know that, but remembered is one thing, but let's not conflate remembered with honored. I think there's a difference between honoring history
Did I say
and
honored?
remembering history. No, you didn't, but I think there's a subtle nuance there to it, because when you say remember, I think we can all remember history without actually having to see symbols of it.
I didn't take AP history. It was a tough time.
Well, I'll let you finish before we segue on to the next one. So go ahead.
No. Yeah, it's one of those, we can't take it away. I think it can be frowned upon given today's understanding of it. Not everybody's, but at least our understanding, or the main popular opinions understanding of it. Those outside of the South, basically. Mm-hmm. And I feel that we're being soft as a society to cause a ruckus about something this minuscule.
Okay, you're going to have to be kind of careful with how you explain that, because you say something this minuscule, you're basically saying the symbol of the Confederate flag is minuscule. Is that correct?
No. I'm saying, yeah, it's not a as big of a deal as people are making it to be. It is like, the way that we graffiti walls is something small to us, but to other people they can blow it up, to the Kens and Karens of the world. Like, yeah, you defaced that wall that I look at never, but I'm looking at it now because you had defaced it. Things like that. To us, it's art. It's not a...
Wait. Okay, I have to distance myself from you on this particular point, because for the listeners in our audience, they will know that previously we did have a conversation. We had a discussion, rather, about graffiti's place in art, and
it belongs in the upper echelon of it.
An acquired taste, perhaps. So Don was of the opinion that graffiti will never really get the same appreciation that more traditional, more mainstream art will get, and you won't really see a museum solely dedicated to graffiti. You won't see graffiti. Yeah, you won't see it in like the Getty, basically. And I was making the point, well, I can understand why, because a lot of graffiti is rooted in gang culture, and a lot of what you see tagged in Watts, tagged in LA, tagged on the side of buildings that Santa Ana, sure, or Pico Rivera.
There we go. There we go. Right near South Coast, right?
Yeah. So the point is, I think graffiti may not be appreciated by everybody. I appreciate looking at a clean building, a clean structure, especially if it's funded by the taxpayers like us. We all pay for this public construction. We don't necessarily pay to have it defaced by a couple of low-ranking, gang members who are trying to make some street cred. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying those business properties. I'm saying just walls in LA. I've been spending a lot of time in LA. I'm not trying to say like, I'll go and deface the fucking giant blue building of Orange. I don't even know what it's called, but that one that you could always see on the 5.
Sure.
Or I'm not talking defacing a wall of a hospital, or where major traffic is.
Where are these walls that you speak of? These walls that are unmarked?
Hey, one day I'll take you down Skid Row with me. I'll show you a bunch of them.
I'll walk with you down Skid Row.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'll stay in the car. I'll just cruise right by you, bro.
That's fair.
Lock the doors and everything. Good luck getting in. You gotta jump on top of the hood.
Call me an Uber, like, yeah, maybe get a paramedic on the way as well. So I think this is perfect, because we're talking about symbols here. We're talking about the Confederate flag,
sure.
And Don actually brought to my attention that Kanye West, the very charismatic, colorful character that is Kanye West, he's been in the news for some other things recently. But one thing that he was in the news for many moons ago, back in 2013, he had to explain why, as part of his whole Yeezus tour, his Yeezus album rollout, he was rocking these Confederate flags. And it was very controversial at the time because obviously, for the same reasons as today, the Confederate flag is a symbol that polarizes many people in America. Some people, as Don alluded to, views the Confederate flag as a historical source of pride. Other people, most people I would say, look at it as a relic of racism, relic of slavery, and it should not be used in that way. Just like, you're not going to find anywhere in Germany the swastika being used by any artist or any kind of government establishment. It's just no longer used anymore. So let me just kind of read the quote, then I'll have Don jump in on this. So on a radio station interview back in 2013,
hell yeah,
react how you want. Any energy you got is good energy. The Confederate flag represented slavery in a way. That's my abstract take on what I know about it. So I made the song New Slaves. So I took the Confederate flag and made it my flag. It's my flag now. Now, what are you going to do? Classic Kanye, obviously putting a spin on something that is very polarizing, very controversial. But so, Don, in the greater context of things, this was obviously brought up as a skeleton in his closet because, drum roll please, the big breaking news last night on July 4th. What better day to announce this than on America's birthday? Kanye West on Twitter announces he is running for president, not in 2024, oh no, but in 2020, facing head on against Donald Trump and Joe Biden. So, Don, first of all, what do you think of the Confederate flag in Kanye's usage of it? And then later on, you can kind of say your thoughts on Kanye's real or unreal bid for the presidency.
Okay. First off, let's tackle this on little head on. I hate it when people say, this is my own take on things. This is my own take. This is my abstract take on it. Take it or leave it. Because you could apply that to anything, and I think that's a cop-out way of basically saying, doesn't matter what you think, it matters what I think. So there's no room for discussion on that one, whenever he says something like that. As an artist, they are entitled to do that, but then it leaves it up to more discussion. But the way Kanye does it is he solidifies and says, oh, well, yeah, all right, you own it. Cool. Have it. I don't know if you want to address that before we get into the presidential bid.
Well, I'll say, you do say that as artists, you're entitled to repurpose almost anything in the world to your own vision of it, right?
Oh, dude, I wonder, has it been fucking copyrighted?
Or the Confederate flag itself?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It'd be interesting,
I would imagine that. Would it still be valid? Like, if you do, like, who would? First of all,
exactly. No, that's why I'm saying, like, yeah, it'll be
like, how do you go about the process of that? Like, copyright office. Yeah, I'm trying to copyright something. Oh yeah, what is it, sir? Yeah, it's a Confederate flag.
People are like, oh yeah, everybody's been trying to get it here in the South.
Yeah, good thing you made an appointment. Man, it's like a total bureaucracy to get the Confederate flag copyrighted by like Sir Wellington from North Carolina. But no, my take is, I think, like, I look at it this way, and I hate to always steer the conversation toward Hitler, but I feel like it's a very common trend.
He's your boy, right? That's your dude.
No. He's not my boy. You can make the claim that Boris Johnson is my boy, and I will accept that.
Yeah, kind of close relations.
Well, no. Boris was born in America, by the way. Little known fact.
Hey, man. Brooklyn. Well, we're gonna have to do that 23andMe on him, dude. Trace back those German roots.
Oh, bro, I think a lot of his kids are trying to do the 23andMe because...
And he's like, no.
No, let's not talk about that. No. I only have one, just the one that was born this year. That never had anybody else before. But that's a different topic entirely. I only bring Hitler up here because can you imagine how people would react if somebody tried to use a swastika for any kind of musical promotion or any other kind of promotion? I just don't think it would work. I think they would get so much crap for it. And so it tells me that there should be some limits, right? Like certain symbols are so hate-inspiring and so, just make you think of like all the worst things about American history. about world history for that matter. And maybe for that reason alone, it is a cop out for Kanye to be like, you know what, I'm repurposing this to my own thing. It is extremely ignorant of the truth behind it. And he's basically saying, you know, I don't care. I'm going to be willfully ignorant of what this symbol means to so many people out there because I'm deciding what it means now. I think that that's very tyrannical. I think it's very egotistical and self-centered, but all those three words describe Kanye West to a T.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the paradox of Kanye West. Like, you kind of want to say, yes, you have to judge every person the same way, but Kanye West has been surprisingly consistent in being this kind of person, being controversial, doing things that most people would never even dream of doing or saying, especially on live TV. And so I'm torn about how I feel about this. I feel like on one hand, this is classic Kanye, you know, being the king of controversy. But on the other hand, you know, just grow up for a second. You know, you don't need to do this. You're a creative guy. You can think of many other ways. You can surely think of a more creative way to use some other symbol or to make your own symbol and be just as popular. You don't need this to necessarily advance yourself or advance anybody in your group for that matter.
Oh yeah.
So that's just my 2 cents.
And you know, to put it in context, this was back in 2013. He's grown a lot. Now, when it comes to his presidential bid, do you think he's grown up enough? I don't think so.
Well, let me just say, and I'm more curious to hear your thoughts on this, but I think this is all just a giant promotion for his upcoming album. I think Kanye is doing what we all thought Trump was doing back in 2016. What do I mean by that? When Trump was running, I admit I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was very entertaining, especially the debates. And I thought to myself, oh, this is so smart. He's going to run. He's going to like boost his brand. And then obviously when he realizes he doesn't really have a chance to win, he's going to drop out. And with all the publicity, with all the notoriety from the campaign run, he'll be able to, you know, sell some more merchandise or whatever it is that he's doing. But it went on and we were like, oh crap, he's actually leading. He's actually, you know, doing everything that you would expect from a front runner, and he actually won. So that was a little bit of a shock and awe for a lot of people. I don't see the same kind of impact happening with Kanye. I think this is more of a calculated short-term ploy to raise his own profile, because you know how easy it is for you to be forgotten, especially in the media, especially in this, you know, music industry, which is super competitive, and the younger artists like your favorite Tekashi 6ix9ine, who's you know, these people are taking over the news waves, and it's really hard for, you know, older artists to really make that much of a bang. But Kanye is kind of the exception. He'll always have a bit of a platform because of his legions of fans. But doing this will just send it to the moon. It'll be times 10 of what he had before. So what I'm hoping for is, and this is kind of biased, I'm hoping that this is all just a big rollout for Yandhi, or whatever he wants to call it. And I'm going to call something right here before I let you go. I think it would be perfect if he called his next album the Yak Scene. Instead of the vaccine, he calls it the Yak Scene.
Oh, Jesus.
And he drops it on November 3rd on Election Day. And every so often he promotes on Twitter, hey, yo, the vaccine's coming out in November. Vaccine's coming out in November. And everybody's going to be like, oh, it's trending. It's trending. Look, the vaccine. Oh, no, it's not really the vaccine. It's Kanye's album. Isn't that the perfect way to promote it? Because, you know, with COVID-19, you know, everybody's trying to find the vaccine. They're trying to make sure that they can get it as soon as possible, you know, except for Don. Perhaps Don is an exception.
No.
He's willing to wait 20 years before he can really trust it.
Hey, man, when you take that vaccine, dude, all right, we'll see what happens when you start using dumb words like me. Well, we'll see what happens. I'll call it out.
Yeah,
no more Zeitgeist.
no more Zeitgeist. That might go into the title of our podcast, by the way. No more Zeitgeist. But I will say, I am rooting for Kanye from an entertainment perspective.
Sure.
I don't consider him to be a serious candidate. I'm going to say that now. But just for the laughs, just for the shits and giggles, for lack of another phrase, why not? I think this is great.
I think it's... I agree with you. I don't think he's a good candidate to start off. But what worries me is if he actually does follow through and does, enter the ballot, it gets listed, it's going to take away some votes from votes that should be going elsewhere. And that's my only concern. I don't know where Kanye's at, if he's going to be supporting his boy Trump or he's going to be supporting his other boy Biden.
I think we know the answer to that question.
Well, yeah, but I'm not going to say what. I just think that's the fear that people should have, and we should try to nip this in the bud sooner than later, so that way the votes are going the right way.
But see, I actually think that aspect of this is over-exaggerated. Do you really think Kanye's going to change the vote split to that extent? Like, people kind of think, oh, he's going to siphon the youth vote. He's going to siphon some of the black vote from Biden. But I don't even know if it's going to go that far. I think people are a little bit paranoid about this whole being like a giant ruse to help indirectly support Trump. I don't even see it that way. I just think this will be much smaller than we all make it out to be.
Yeah, but then to your point earlier, Trump was able to goddamn strong arm his way through it, and if Kanye gets the notion and his ego gets pumped even by a little bit, saying, hey, there's a slight 0.05 chance that you might get it, of course he's going to be like, oh, there's a chance, fuck it, I'm going to try it.
One big difference, though, although I agree with everything you said, I don't disagree with it. Here's what you're missing, and that was me doing my best Stephen A. impression, by the way. That's what he does all the time with Max. You're right, Max, 100%. Everything you said was correct, but here's where you're wrong. Here's what you're missing. I think Trump had the noticeable advantage of being on the Republican ticket. He had a major party that he was representing. Now, for Kanye, he's not a Democrat here. He's not registering as a Republican, at least I don't think he is. He's just an independent. And as you know, never has an independent won the presidential bid. Very few independents even get on the ticket itself. So for me, I just think this is kind of overblown. People are reacting because it's a 24/7 news cycle. People think this might be kind of a big deal and hurt Biden's chances. My honest opinion is, and this could be a little controversial, the way things look now, I don't even know if this would matter. Like, I feel like Biden has a long, steep hill to climb. And even if Kanye does siphon a few votes, it won't make that much of a difference. I think whatever would happen with or without Kanye throwing his hat into the ring is still going to happen. But tell me this, Don. I know you're not voting for Trump. Neither am I. Are you going to vote this November in general?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if Kanye is on the ticket.
Hell yeah.
Really?
No.
Really? Because
no. Dude, all right. Hey, hear me out.
Huh?
Hear me out. In the parallel universe, this would be happening. What if Biden's like, my vice presidential candidate?
Oh, shit.
I am selecting none other than Jesus himself.
And then it's like, Kanye comes out to like Power.
Yeah. You got Biden doing a little two-step going on and everything.
There you go. And the rest of the promotion is just his concert. Like,
hell
it's
yeah,
like
dude.
he doesn't even
that'd
say
be fucking
anything,
sick, dude. That'd
just
be sick.
performs.
Because then, like, Biden would step off the podium, everybody would zoom in on his shoes, like, oh shit, those are the shoes he wants.
There you go. There you go. You got the Red Octobers.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be in like the red, white, and blues or some shit. Like that.
Yeah.
Oh my
sure.
god.
Custom. For sure. That'd be sick. I'd roll with Biden if he did that, for sure. Like, without question, I'd roll with him. But I think Biden's kind of committed to choosing a female VP. I don't know
female
who yet.
Woman of color.
Ideally, yes, a woman of color. It'll most likely be one of the names that has been going around on the news cycle recently. I think we'll find out for sure in August. I don't know why it's taken the guy so long to settle down on the VP, but in August we shall know. So we'll see. My take is, with Kanye, I am eagerly anticipating lots of theatrics, lots of entertaining clips and tweets. And I like it when Kanye is part of the news cycle, even if it's kind of, just for fun, not really to be taken seriously. I think it adds some much needed levity to the times that we're in, to the zeitgeist of our culture. All right. So, Kanye was a major talking point in this podcast. And one of the tangents for this particular Confederate flag conversation that we were having is something that I think Don and I are both very much aware of. For probably a few weeks now, we've been noticing on the news all over the world, actually, more and more statues are being either defaced, vandalized, or even, legally and safely taken down, hidden away, maybe sent to a museum. And this is all spurred on by this growing sentiment from the public that a lot of these characters, these historical figures that were once revered, are actually monuments of white supremacy, monuments of racism, monuments of slavery. And now people just don't want to see that anymore. People don't want to look up at that statue of some general from the Confederacy or some slave trader in the UK and have to look at that every day and comprehend what all that meant when slavery is abolished, obviously, at least in the Western countries here. And so, Don, what I wanted to ask you about here is this. First of all, do you give a damn about statues in general? Could you care less about whether or not these are up? And number two, what do you think this might lead to if we start nitpicking a little bit here and there and say, oh yeah, because modern standards, current standards don't necessarily apply to these people, their relics, anything that represents them should be stripped away and it should be forever removed from society's view?
So to address the first part, when it comes to statues, I don't care less about them. Yeah, that's where pigeons basically stand and shit on whenever they're tired of flying.
True.
Their posts. Not to take away from the artistry and the hard work that goes into doing them, especially less modern takes when we go to those in the museums, like the David, things of that sort, where it was all hand chiseled and whatnot. Not to take away from that, but at least in current society where pretty much everything is mold based and casted, I care two shits about it.
Okay.
Whether or not we want to start removing these from the history that they represent, or for the history that they represent, rather. Hey, I mean, dude, if it feels good, do it. If it feels good, do it. That's how I say it. If the populace kind of agrees that something should be taken down for whatever reason, then do it. Why is something that, at least for me, is just something I look at and ponder about, maybe for a second or two of my life? Is it worth the fight that all these people are making it? I don't think so. But
okay. So you're basically saying the fight in the sense that the whole protest against these statues, the whole clamoring for their removal, that may not be worth the effort per se. That's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, just fucking listen and do it then. I mean, why are you holding on to it? Replace it with something else.
Well, yeah, no, I think actually a lot of people have been trying to do that. The legal way. They're trying to follow the proper processes, the protocols.
Which is the right way of going about it, right? The right way of going about it.
I agree. I 100% agree. Now, kind of taking it a step further, though, if no action is being taken by the powers that be, but yet there is still a minority of people who want to see this change, do you think it's right to capitalize on the climate, the very racially charged climate that we're in, and go ahead and just take matters into your own hands, grab a couple of chains, grab your car?
No, because then you're defacing property and things of that sort without even an artistic take on it. It's just purely anger and frustration, and at one point it'll reach just pure vandalism. It's not the right way of going about things, because it'll just heat up the other side that is against you. As you alluded to earlier, they're going through the proper means of doing it, so use those proper means the way that they were set up to be used, and do it that way. Otherwise, it's just going to be more of an endless fight. I think going through these peaceful protests help bring change about and help expedite the spread of the knowledge that comes with it. Everyone. Now, there's no real way to speed up government speed, but there are processes that can help get your docket on the top of the pile rather than on the bottom. And taking those means is a way of going about it, I think.
I tend to agree with you that it's always better to go through the proper protocol, but I can empathize with a lot of people because I'm sure there have been groups who have been trying to do it the legal way and trying to find every kind of connection possible to make sure they do go on top of the docket. They do go with like the top billing. But for whatever reason, a lot of these statues, which do represent very hateful, harmful periods of our American history, they still stay up. And the powers that be want them to stay up for various reasons. Maybe for them it means something slightly different, kind of like the subculture that is a proponent for the Confederate flag being put in cars, being put in, all sorts of different places to support and to honor the history of America, at least their history of it, their version of events. Sure. Now, obviously this brings up a wider topic of whether or not this will lead to other changes. Like, for instance, you look at a statue of Michael Jordan, right? Outside the United Center. I think that's where the Bulls play. And let's say years from now, it gets revealed that Jordan did something really, really bad. Like, let's say he murdered somebody, and it finally came out. Right? Exactly. Oh my God. Yeah. Like both of my hands are on my cheeks. Oh my God. Amazing.
Amazing.
But,
you just say it right. I want just a
like,
Freudian split right, or
like the news is amazing. I can't believe it.
Oh,
I can't believe it.
All right,
I think I used the wrong word.
Yeah, wrong word, wrong connotation.
Oh,
right?
appalling.
There we go.
Oh man. There you go. Appalling Zeitgeist. Appalling Zeitgeist is what should I? Yeah, that's what I should title this thing. But no, I think if something like that were to happen to Jordan, who's so beloved now, especially with the Last Dance documentary that's out, I would imagine that you would still be okay with it, right? If people say, you know what, we're done with Jordan, he's canceled, we're going to just take his statue away, and he's not going to be revered the same way anymore because we're applying this new information that we know about him to change how we feel about him publicly. He's no longer venerated. You would be okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is surprising to me because I feel like you're not the only person that feels that way.
Hey, the easy thing to say is Jordan ain't Kobe. Jordan ain't Kobe. Kobe can do no wrong in my book.
Okay, so there's some bias there.
Of course.
Okay. I guess it's interesting to me though because I was having a conversation with another one of my friends and they're basically saying like, if 50 years from now, like when we're 80 years old, all of our heroes from the past who have statues or whatever, if the current generation at the time, the young people, they hate it, they want to take it down, so be it. And that's an interesting perspective because it's like for the people that were there at the time who really experienced Jordan or experienced any of these great figures, historical figures, yes, they could appreciate them to the fullest extent. They could have a statue and see that until their lives are pretty much done. But when a new generation rolls in, I think if you treat the statue as not an object of permanence, but just an object to honor the people for a temporary amount of time, then I think that's one way to go about it. And for that matter, I tend to agree with you. Maybe we don't even need statues. Maybe having statues is kind of an outdated practice because why would you have to always, symbolize people and put people on such a literal pedestal when they did something historically? Like it's documented in so many other ways, especially now through videotape, through text, through saved documents. Like we know history is.
Well, it's the question of is turning everything digital the right way of going about it. These statues and other physical works of art are sort of eternalized in their if we remove the whole fact of shit will eventually decay over time, but it helps provide an actual tangible object to the idea, whereas all digital things are kind of this better than I do, but everything's in the cloud.
Sure.
So
no, I mean I get that. But I guess beyond just things being digital versus analog, because that's what you're getting at here, and that's definitely worthy of a good debate. I just look at it like, well, don't we know that things happened? Like, it's not like we live in 1984.
Dude, well, we're in the upper echelon of society when it comes to intellect. Yes, everyone, me included, I act dumb and am dumb, but contrary to many beliefs. Hey man, I'm the dumber one. I'm the dumber one of the two.
But dude, what if I just took that one soundbite, like, yes, everyone, you know, I'm dumb and I act dumb, and I just play that over and over again? That becomes our outro. Like,
yo, let's do that. That's fucking a good idea.
No, bro.
Man.
No, that's dumb.
You know how many clicks we'd get? Yo.
We'd get 2 clicks.
Hey, dude, it's better than the. Well, dude, we're up to 8 then.
We're up to 8. That's right, my friend. But go ahead, finish your thought.
Shit. What was I even talking about?
Fuck. You're dumb, and sometimes you say dumb things.
Yeah. Well, see, there's my goldfish memory. Look at that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. No, you were making a greater point about remembering things and being part of the upper echelon of society, and
So like, it's harder for people to understand things the way that we understand things, and we have a different contextual or a historical context that we can apply to certain things. I don't think everybody has that. So it's a little bit different for us. So to put such a broad statement saying that we don't necessarily need all these physical statues and physical historical landmarks, kind of it's applying a broad stroke on something that I don't think we have the ability to do so. Because, for example, with the growing population, why not just blow up the Grand Canyon and turn that into a residential oasis of some sort that can house millions of people?
I think one of the primary reasons we keep certain monuments and landmarks around is because of tourism revenue.
Sure, but then you can make a ton more with residential property.
Who's trying to live in that desert?
Yo, man. Hey, well, with technology, man, it's probably going to be like the coolest spot. Imagine turning that into like the biggest half-pipe water slide tube in the world that people live in, above. And it's like, oh, just jump out my second-story window and boom, you can, instead of walking over, you take the slide over to your neighbor, Chris's, across the street over there, across the ravine. Boom.
Well, that's actually what Kanye's trying to do with his new community in Wyoming. He's doing exactly that. Everything's going to be skatable, indoors and outdoors.
Dude.
There's going to be
indoors and outdoors?
Indoors and outdoors. You can skate inside in your dome, and you can skate on top of the dome when you're outside. And I think there's going to be connections and seamless transitions between work and play over there. But that's besides the point. I think I was looking at it more like this. We know that Barack Obama was our president before Trump. We know Trump is our president. Sure. Do you think Barack Obama or Trump are going to have statues? Probably not.
Oh, we'll see, man. Not. Hey, if Trump wins a second time around, I could see him putting up a statue of himself, right in the Oval Office, just for the fuck of it.
For the Oval Office. Probably one that'll be repeatedly defaced by anybody who comes after him. Just permanent pigeons sitting inside the Oval Office.
Pet pigeon.
It's like the one from London, the fat pigeons I showed you from London. Those little fat juicy ones, just shitting on top of Trump all day. But no, it's like this though. Like if you know something has been in power for so long, sometimes you don't really need a monument to understand or to acknowledge the history of it. It just happened, and there's so many other manifestations of it through their policy, through their images, right? Through print, through media, through whatever, through social media, whatever it is. Like the history of our world is always being updated. It's always being added onto. And one argument is you don't necessarily need analog representations just to acknowledge the history. I understand your point that maybe for some people it helps, like without having to know everything and keep everything in mind. You can just look at statues and maybe read the plaque and understand, oh, yeah, this guy did this guy did that. But I guess what I'm saying is maybe what we need is a cultural shift away from these analog monuments and toward a more all-inclusive understanding of our country, of the world, a place where like we can exchange ideas and learn about what's happening, not just in America, but all other countries, and continue the conversation. Have it be an open conversation instead of a closed book monument that is a representation for somebody who's kind of idolized. Because the way I look at it, don't you feel like statues are basically making people bigger than life? They're basically making man closer to God in a way. Like you're immortalizing him through bronze or through marble. And I don't even know if that's necessary anymore. Maybe we don't need to do that with these kind of public figures. Maybe a better way to do it is to immortalize the real heroes of the world. Like remember the Banksy photo, the Banksy painting that you shared with me? The little kid throwing away Batman, Superman into a bin, and instead playing with like a nurse doll or whatever, a firefighter doll, police officer. Maybe that's what we need to really look at. Maybe police officers may not get the same kind of respect right now per se, but you look at like a nurse, for instance, or you look at some kind of a prominent doctor or like an engineer or a physician, somebody who really did a lot to advance society. Wouldn't that be a better role model for the kids of the world to look up to than somebody who may be seen as maybe a vicious person later on down the line who has debatable scruples?
Yeah, no, you're completely right, man. You're completely right. I get it. But to make a slight tangent here.
Yes, please.
You know who kids can look up to nowadays? That is the perfect idol.
Stomach. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh man, it is our boy. Oh my god, I don't know how he does it, but our boy, Joey Chestnut. Joey the man, big dick Chestnut. That is our dude. Dude, do you know how many? Or so, give people context. Every 4th of July, Nathan's holds a hot dog eating contest right on Coney Island. It's historical. They actually put up little blockers between the contestants, right? Because we're in COVID season. Nothing can stop the hot dog eating contest at this point. And our boy Joey Chestnut put down 75 hot dogs in, I believe, 10 minutes. Let me double check that.
No, that's right. I'm on the ESPN article right now.
Is it 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Fuck, dude. That can't be good, man. Imagine the shit that comes out of that. Oh.
Dude, here's what I don't understand. Do these people actually digest it all?
I would assume they'd have to throw some of the shit up. Because, dude, the human stomach can only handle so much. And, dude, I feel like shit after eating like 4 or 5 hot dogs.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's me
let alone 10.
Yeah, that's
or
me trying
75.
to flex, that's like, yeah, I can handle 5? Sure. Fuck it. Yeah, give it to me.
Yeah.
But fucking 75, and in that time frame of 10 minutes. That's what scares me, man.
Hey, I just want to read the quote that I found on this ESPN article because it's kind of hilarious. So, just in response during an interview, Chestnut was like, "It was hard," said Chestnut, who consumed roughly 21,750 calories.
Yeah.
I knew I was fast in the beginning. It was like blistering speed, and the dogs were cooked really well today. Minute 6 is where I really missed the crowd, and I hit the wall, and it took me a little bit more work to get through it. This is a crazy year, and I'm happy I was able to get a record. That is just insane to me. Like, this man consumed like damn near 22,000 calories, 75 hot dogs and buns, not just the wieners and the buns, in a span of 10 minutes. That is just insane.
Yeah, no,
My
that's ridiculous. That is, I think I did the math wrong here. What is 75 times 150? Oh, 11,000 calories. That's the average hot dog weight or calorie. But you said it was, how many calories did he put down?
It said here 21,750.
Oh my god.
So these are like pretty nicely cooked hot dogs.
Yeah, these are fucking premium dogs, dude. These aren't like little basic nationals, man. We're talking. Fuck.
Yeah, man.
Can you imagine? That's like he's set for a week, plus 2 weeks. At least.
Like in terms of the caloric intake.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't imagine, like we were talking about, I don't think he digests everything. He probably throws up a good amount of this probably immediately after. And I imagine his stomach is probably hurting too. Like,
oh, definitely. Because, dude, just think of the volume of that. Because on top of that, you got to add in the white bread or the white bun that comes with it, which is
Oof.
a ridiculous amount, and you know that carbs kind of expand.
For sure.
Damn, dude. The mustard yellow belt. WWE got nothing on this one. But dude,
yeah.
I mean, do you like hot dogs?
I do. I actually do enjoy them. I think for the most part, like, I can probably comfortably eat like probably 3 to 4. That's probably my like nice ones, like not just the little ones.
Yeah.
But like 3 to 4 comfortably. I would enjoy it. That'd be a great meal.
Like gourmet.
But,
gourmet.
Yeah, gourmet.
All right.
But anything more would be just way too much for me. So I know for him though, like I didn't watch the video, but I've seen past competitions. I know they just like dip this shit in water and just cram it in their mouth. They're not really tasting it at all.
Yeah. They just warp it down. Yeah.
It's awful. It's awful.
Man.
But you know, if this is his live stream, then fantastic.
Hey, dude.
More power to
if you're good at something, you gotta just be good at it, man. Do you think that professional eating is a legitimate sport?
Well, I think the definition of sport has been greatly expanded over the last decade. I mean, if we're counting video games as sports now, then I think yes, this is a sport because you know it does require some kind of intestinal fortitude.
Fortitude. There we go.
There you go. To be able to handle this kind of wienerage, 75 is quite a lot. And, it's a skill, I suppose. You have to train for it. Obviously, these guys aren't just, fat asses that roll in and just get shoveled food in their mouth. These guys are trained. Like, they have to practice. They have to condition their bodies in a certain way to be able to consume and hold that much without vomiting on site. So, yes, I do consider it a sport, but it's like on a different echelon, so to speak. It's not a traditional sport, but in the expanded definition of sports, sure, I think so.
Okay.
And who knows? Maybe sometime next year you'll see the D and the A.
Oh, dude, we gotta do that. I think what is it? On our next year's July 4th podcast, hopefully all this BS sort of stuff, COVID shelter in place, stay at home order.
Right.
Gets lifted, and we can make that one about it. I'll cook up the dogs. I'll cook up some gourmet dogs for some people, and we'll of course frontline it. See how many we can knock down without throwing up.
I like it, and we will do that. Then we'll watch President Kanye West give a speech on the State of the Union. That'll be really interesting.
While eating a hot dog. While eating
the hot dog, of course.
And wearing the Confederate flag Yeezys while doing it.
I mean, is there any better way than to celebrate America? Well, in any case, ladies and gentlemen, I think it has been an amazing hour that we have given to you, that we have shared with you. And of course, we apologize in advance for being a little off on the schedule.
Yes. It was all Arjun this week. I don't know what was going on. I was like, yo, let's do it. Let's do it Wednesday. He's like, nah, man. Like,
Truth is, I was caught in Mexico with some illegal fireworks, and I had some trouble at the border. I had to, work with customs for a few days. So it was a whole ordeal. It was a whole thing.
You didn't have to tell them the details of it.
I'm honest with my fans. I keep it a buck. I keep it 100. Okay. So we will try. We can't tell you when we'll do this.
No. I think this week. I think we could do Thursday. We could do Thursday.
Oh, okay. Well, this is a very surprising turn of events. It looks like
I think Thursday. I'm setting my schedule now. I'm a little more comfortable. Very good. Sure it happens. So I think Thursday. Very latest Sunday.
Okay. So again, we can't tell you exactly what day we will talk to you again, but this has been an amazing experience as usual. And from the D and the A, we hope you guys had an amazing 4th of July weekend, and enjoying the appalling zeitgeist, as I like to call it. And you guys take care, stay safe out there, and hopefully everyone gets a good night's sleep with limited firework interruption.
Boom, 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 boom,
boom, boom. Alrighty, you guys stay safe. Take care.
Peace.